Welcome to Life in Times of Cotto. I am your host, Jay Cotto. And in today's segment, I want to have a discussion about two things in particular that build character. Now, these two incidents happened to me in my personal life. And the reason why I'm saying that they build character, because they did become part of my character, for better or worse. And the first one I do want to start with is an incident that I had with my father. Now, this is not a swipe at anyone. This is not me just kind of, throwing anybody under the bus and making anybody feel bad. This is not what that is. This is just something that happened to me, and it stuck with me throughout the course of my life, and it became part of my character. Now, the first one is there was an instance with my dad that, for a lack of better words, he called me a pussy, and I really hate admitting that right now. I've held on to that for so long, and over the course of the time that it occurred, I've never brought it up, and I've never said anything to anyone about that. And this is me just being completely honest and transparent, and just telling a story about how it built part of my character. Now, the reason why that is relevant is because, growing up, I was a relatively skinny kid, always thought about, always the weaker of the group of children, or my cousin who, was uh, actually, he's a personal trainer. So he's a pretty buff dude. But anyway, long story short, that's basically what my that's what I thought about myself. So when that was said, coming from your father, someone that you love, someone that's important to you, when someone says that to you, kind of go through your life and you start thinking, well, shit, man, if he sees me that way, then the rest of the world must see me that way. So from that moment, I've it's like a switch went off, and I made it a point for that to never ever happen again. So I have gone through life making sure that I remove myself emotionally from all things. Any decision that I'm making, anything, not all things, I'm sorry, that's a lie. Just from things in general, that, I remove my emotions from things and just kind of let things be black and white, because I don't need to be emotional about those things, because that shit is for the birds. Because if I show emotion, then you're gonna try to walk all over me, or you're gonna try to play me, or whatever the situation is. And that was an argument that my dad and I were having at the time, and I was emotional about it. In that instance, I was emotional about it. So those were his words that he chose, and that scarred me in a way that, again, it became part of my character. So sometimes when I attack things, say for example with my wife or my children, I sometimes remove my emotions, and I don't always give the part of me that they require, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I don't think that everything needs to be emotionally attacked, but that is something that I think about quite often. Now, with that being said, that is also something that I refuse to repeat. That is not something that, because it affected me in that way, that is not something that I am going to repeat with my children. I don't want my children to ever feel like they may be inferior in any way, shape, or form. So that's one of those character building moments. That's number one. Number two, I had a second one. And I actually kind of hate to bring this up too, because I've been married for 20 years and I love my wife dearly. And there is no separating. I mean, I made a decision to spend the rest of my life with her, and she's by my side and my support and my rock when I need it. But there was an instance that I did have a relationship with someone else prior to my wife. And what happened with that was, I got cheated on, and I hate bringing that up. But anyway, that's what happened. And the reasons were, I wasn't a provider. I was young, inexperienced, and I didn't have any children. She did. And that that really, you know, affected me negatively. So there are times where, I look at my wife and I kind of sometimes fall short in things. And when I fall short in things, that comes back. And I sometimes feel undeserving of her loyalty because I do fall short in certain things. And that is a haunting thing. I saw on social media that, let's not pretend that betrayal is not damage. Like, that's damage. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's damage like I'm a sucker about it, but it is damage, and you fear for that. My wife is so important to me. My children and my whole being, everything about them and them being by my side and in my life is so important to me that haunts me. So it affects my character in a way that I need to always feel like I have something to prove. And my wife sometimes says that. She's, why are you always acting like you got something to prove? Why you always feel like you got to prove something? And I was never really, I was never honest with her about that. I've never told her that. She knows, of course, everybody, we share things, and we all have had relationships before, but we share things, but I've never shared that. I never shared that my fear and why I feel like I need to prove things stems from that. And because she's so important to me, I'm always trying to prove something. I'm trying to prove that I deserve her loyalty. I try to prove that I deserve her respect. I try to prove that I'm good enough that she should keep me. So that's kind of what I came on here to talk about. That's one thing that I wanted to talk about. This is part of just me being transparent, like I am any other time. The discussion is, that's what I took away from both of those things, and we all have those things. So I encourage everybody to look back at certain things and how you treat things and how you react to things, and figure out where that came from. What's the source of that? And if it's possible, how do you make it better? you know or remove something that's negative. Anyway, that's all I got. Do what you do it well, do it the best way you know how. Jay Cotto, I'm out. Peace.